Hello everyone, welcome to another lecture here in Psychometrics. For today, we are going to talk about a very important topic. Pag-uusapan natin yung test development. Subtitle, How Psychological Tests Are Made. Today, I'm going to give you a bird's eye view kung ano ang mga pagdaraanan nyo in constructing your own psychological test. Remember, this is the main requirement for this subject. Gagawa kayo ng sarili nyong psychological test. But more than just, this is the final requirement for you to complete this subject. Ang isa pang dahilan bakit mahalaga na aralin nyo yung test development process is because this is one of the most expected skills that the government is expecting that you should have bago ka bigyan ng license to be a psychometrician or a psychologist. Isa ito sa mga lalabas sa board exam. Basahin nyo na lang yung yellow box. Kasi malabo itong number 2, tinype ko na lang word for word. Ito yung dapat na skill set meron ka before you take the board exam. Describe the process, research methods, and statistics used in test development and standardization. So dapat ma-master mo yan, mapakita mo sa Philippine government na meron ka yan para tataas yung chance mo that you will be given a professional license in psychology. So this is a very important topic. I highly recommend for those of you who are watching this lecture, you take down notes as I teach you the test development process. The following are the skills I expect you to learn from this lesson. Number 1, I'm going to introduce you to the different concepts that you need in constructing your own psychological test. Dapat mahalaga na alam nyo yung mga definitions of these concepts. Number 2, I'm going to introduce you to the different phases na pinagdaraanan bago makagawa ng isang standardized psychological test. And number 3, under each of those phases, ipapakilala ko sa inyo yung iba't ibang mga activities na ginagawa to make psychological test possible. So these are the different skills that are all very important para makagawa kayo ng isang maayos na standardized psychological test. So let's start with the lesson. The following are the phases that you will be undergoing in constructing your own psychological test. Meron kayong pagdaraanan na 7 phases. Isa-isahin natin. Let's start with number 1, test conceptualization. Basically, test conceptualization is the phase where dito tayo nakakaisip na there is a need. In Tagalog, merong pangangailangan na makapag-develop ng isang psychological instrument that is able to measure a psychological attribute. If you remember in my previous lectures, that's one of the functions of psychological tests, to quantify, to measure a psychological attribute. So dito, meron kang maiisip na mukhang kailangan tayo makadevelop ng instrument na makakapagsukat nito. You simply fill in the blank. And the reason is, bakit mahalaga na mag-develop tayo ng instrument na nakaka-measure nito? For number 1, kapag naka-develop tayo ng ganyang instrument, it can spark a series of research in the field of psychology. Kasi para makapag-research ka sa psychology, kinakailangan meron kang instruments that can quantify the variable that you want to study. Like for example, love or conscience or attraction to other people. These things are very interesting to study, but you cannot study these variables deeply if you don't have instruments in the first place to measure those variables. So that's one of the reasons kung bakit gusto natin mag-develop ng isang psychological instrument to spark research interest. Number 2, another reason bakit gusto natin mag-develop ng isang psychological instrument kasi baka makatulong yung instrument na yon in making certain psychological interventions that will improve a person's overall mental health. Halimbawa, depression. Hindi natin matutulungan ang mga taong depressed kung hindi natin kayang sukatin gaano ka-depress yung tao. So by developing an instrument that can measure depression, it can lead the way to the development of different interventions to help people who are depressed. Hindi tayo makagawa ng depression program na makakapagpababa ng depression if in the first place, we cannot measure a person's level of depression. Therefore, there is a need for a psychological instrument that measures depression. Nagigets ninyo? Yun ang nangyayari sa test conceptualization. Nakakapag-isip tayo ng isang instrument na pwedeng makapag-measure ng isang psychological attribute. Now, for the sake of example, magbibigay ako ng isa dito na sa tingin ko, maganda na kaya nating i-measure. Let's measure distance from God. And the way I define this is the person's overall sense how close he or she is to the biblical God. Gaano ka-close ka, tingin mo, sa Diyos na dinidescribe sa Bible. And this is a very legitimate topic in the field of psychology of religion and spirituality. But more than that, kaya ko naisip na magandang masukat natin to because whenever I read the Bible, isa ito sa mga common psychological experiences ng mga tao in the characters of the Bible. Like for example, when Jesus said something about this, the very popular John 15:5, I am the vine, you are the branches. If you remain in me and I in you, you will bear much fruit. Apart from me, you can do nothing. So basically, ang sinasabi ni Jesus dito, when a person is near God, nagiging maganda yung psychological life niya. The person becomes fruitful. And the reverse is true. When the person is far away from God, malayo siya sa Diyos, nawawala yung psychological capacity ng tao. You can do nothing. So, given this passage, we can sense that there are two spiritual realities here. There are people who are near God, and there are people who are far from God. And regardless whether near or far from God, merong mga psychological effects yon. Being fruitful when you are near, being fruitless when you are far. Other than this passage, if you read the book of Psalms, very common din na dinidescribe yung ganyang psychological experience. There are times the author of Psalms feel far from God. Kaya sabi niya dito sa 69 verse 17, hide not your face from your servant, for I am in distress. Answer me quickly. Hindi siya mapakali dito. Mataas yung neuroticism niya because he senses God is far from him. Ito naman yung reverse. There are times the author feels near to God and he feels good. You have made known to me the path of life. You will fill me with joy in your presence, with eternal pleasures at your right hand. Positive yung psychological state ng taong to because he is near God. So how near you are to God is a legitimate psychological experience. Meron din ako nabasang hymn na ganyan din yung psychological experience na dinidescribe. The hymn is entitled Nearer My God to Thee by S.F. Adams. And there was a line in the song, it says, though like the wanderer the sun gone down, darkness be over me, my rest is a stone. Yet in my dreams I'd be nearer my God to Thee. So basically, ang sinasabi niya dito, hindi na baling marami akong problema sa buhay, but if I sense that you are near me, or if I am near you, then I can withstand all the trials of life. So it seems like yung nearness to God, nagbibigay siya ng psychological confidence, also known as self-efficacy, para malagpasan natin yung mga trials natin. And just a trivia, alam nyo ba itong hymn na to is related to the historical event of Titanic. For those of you who watched the movie, as the ship was sinking, merong part doon where merong band na nagpe-play ng song o nagpe-play ng hymn habang yung mga tao are trying their best to think how they will survive the sinking ship. And according to the accounts, based on history, na nakarinig sa banda na yun na nagpe-play, they were playing Nearer My God to Thee. And what does that teach you? Na ang tao, it is human nature that if we are undergoing certain trials, if we are undergoing difficulties and hardships, one of our responses is we want to be nearer, we want to sense God in our midst. Kaya nila plinay yan Para yung mga tao, kahit na nagpapanik sila, mabigyan sila ng a little bit of faith that they can overcome this problem. Parang ini-implant nung band sa mga utak ng mga tao that although this is happening, although the ship is sinking, our God is near us. Got that? Anyway, so ang point ko lang dito is your sense of how near or how far you are from God is a legitimate psychological experience. Now, before we move on to the next phase, meron lang insight. Alright? Ang insight na gusto kong ituro dito is one of the ways that you can think of what psychological attribute to measure is bumalik ka sa mga everyday psychological experiences mo. Minsan dyan manggagaling yung idea kung anong mental attribute yung gusto mong i-measure. Like in my example, yung pagbabasa ko ng Bible. Yung pakikinig ko ng mga hymns, di ba? Doon nanggaling yung idea ko that maybe we can develop an instrument that can measure nearness to God. So kayo ganun din. You go back to your everyday experiences. Ano kaya yung mga experiences nyo that can give you an idea na makapag-isip ng isang psychological instrument that can measure a psychological attribute. Now, to further lead you to think about what topic to do, ano ang psychologically na-experience natin pero hindi natin nako-compute? Yan. You go back to your everyday experiences. Usually, nakikita natin yan sa language natin Meron tayong mga sinasabi na psychological statement na ang tunog niya quantifiable pero wala pa tayong instrument na nakaka-measure for those psychological variables. Like for instance, when you say the following words, ang lakas talaga ng dating niya, ang layo ng loob ko sa'yo, ang tindi ng tama ko sa'yo. Now, those words are words of quantity. Pero sa totoo lang, if you search the psychological literature, wala pa tayong instruments that can measure those things. Lakas ng dating scale, or layo ng loob scale, or tindi ng tama scale, di ba? So that's one of the things that you can do to help you think of which psychological attribute to measure. You go back to your everyday psychological experiences, listen to the statements that you are saying when you converse to when you converse with other people. Alright? Now, still under phase 1, ang gagawin dyan, after mo nang makaisip ng topic na i-measure, meron ka ng mental attribute na i-measure mo, now you are going to research about your psychological or your chosen psychological attribute. Like for instance, in my case, 'di ba? Distance from God yung napili kong topic. Ano nang gagawin ko? Magre-research na ako tungkol sa distance from God. And there are two approaches on how I can research about this. Number 1, pwedeng theoretical approach. Number 2, pwedeng empirical approach. Magkaiba yan. These are two ways of doing research on your target mental attribute. Now, for number 1, for theoretical approach, magre-review of related literature ako dyan. Hahanap ako ng mga journal articles that more or less talks about or describes distance from God. Okay, so dito talagang magbabasa ako ng marami mga journal articles. Pero doon sa empirical approach, pwede rin naman hindi ka babasa ng journal articles. Rather, makikipag-usap ka sa mga tao. You are going to run focus group discussions. And I am going to demonstrate how this is done in the laboratory. Pero, in connection to your final project, isa lang ang gagawin natin dyan, yung review of related literature. So, i-demo ko lang na mabilis yung FGD approach in the lab. Pero, when you construct your self-made psychological test, ang gagawin nyo is yung approach number 1, theoretical approach. Alright? So, halimbawa, distance from God. Tapos magte-theoretical approach ako. Babasa ako ng review of literature that describes that psychological experience. Saan ako pupunta? Hahanap ako ng mga ganyang resources. Basa ako ng mga articles on the psychology of religion and spirituality and all the other resources na may kinalaman sa psychology of religion. So basically, ang hahanapin ko as I read these journal articles and handbooks or even textbooks is ano yung mga psychological effects sa tao when they sense that they are near God versus when they are far away from God. Kaya dapat meron kayong hawak-hawak na notebook dito as you read these journal articles that answer this question. What psychological effects happens to a person when they sense that they are near God or far from God. Yon. So imagine, ito yung imaginary notebook natin. Yan na yung mga laman. 'Di ba? Ano yung sinusukat natin? Distance from God. Tapos nagbabasa ka na ng mga articles na ganyan, no? So ilalagay mo na diyan sa notebook mo. Ano yung mga nararamdaman ng mga tao when they sense they are close to God or when they are near God? Some sample information are the following. Yan. Mahalaga yan kasi later on, sa next phase, ito na yung gagawin nating mga items. Alright? Now, before we move on to phase 2, mabilisan lang, no? Another thing you need to think about under test conceptualization is your target population. Sa simpleng Tagalog, sino ang gusto mong kumuha ng test na gagawin mo? Ang tawag dyan, test taker profile. Which group of people is this test intended to? Are you going to administer this to professionals, to athletes, to teenagers? Or meron ka bang specific age range? Meron ka bang specific socio-economic status like upper class, middle class, people in poverty? Or meron ka bang target religious denomination? Given the nature of my example, no, meron ka lang bang target religious denomination na hanggang sa kanila lang dapat i-apply yung psychological test? So this is another thing to think about in phase 1. Para kanino mo gagawin, sino ang mga future na sasagot ng test na gagawin mo. Now let's move on to test 2 to phase 2, item construction. Ang gagawin natin sa item construction, going back to your notebook, now we are going to convert these details into items. Ito yung mga characteristics ng mga tao who sense that they are near God. They feel holy, they have no fear of death, they feel divine love, they are sensitive to moral standards. Gagawin nyo na ngayon mga items yan. You can just pause the lecture video if you need to. Some examples of the items coming from these details are the following. Yon. So, i-pause nyo na lang. That information became that item. Another information became that item. So, pili tayo ng dalawa. Feeling of holiness, anong item mo dyan? I often feel disinterested to worldly interest. Yung no fear of death, gawin mong item yan. I am positively looking forward to personally meeting my God after my death. Di ba? Another example, ito, divine love, gawin mong item yan. I am sensing a kind of love very different from human love that God is giving me. You get the point. Alright? So, lahat ng details sa sinulat mo sa notebook mo coming from your research, i-convert mo na ngayon sa items. Now, there will come a time in this subject, I am going to deliver a short lecture on item writing. Kasi merong mga rules yan eh. Merong mga basic principles to follow to help you write good items. So, abangan nyo yung lecture ko dyan, no? And then, another thing that you need to decide on after you write the items, ano yung magandang scaling method na gamitin? Ibig sabihin, paano sasagutan ng mga participants yung mga items na yan? Meron kang dalawang choices dyan. Pwedeng structured response, pwedeng free response. Pag structured response, ibig sabihin yung mga sagot ng participants, nandoon na, sila na lang pipili. Free response, hindi nila pinipili yung mga sagot nila, sila gagawa ng sarili nilang mga sagot. Now, for our purposes, given the requirement of this subject, you are obliged to use structured response. Huwag na tayo mag-free response kasi medyo komplikado yung process na yan. So, all personality tests that you're going to develop this term will be using structured response. Multiple choice, true or false, forced choice, or I highly recommend Likert scales na lang tayo lahat. Okay, so apply that to our sample instrument, distance from God. Ganyan ngayon yung magiging itsura niyan. Ito yung isa sa mga items. Anong gagawin ng participant kapag nakita niya yung item na to? How much he or she agrees with this item. In a scale of 1 to 5, 5 the highest, 1 the lowest. Okay, pinaka-agree, 5. Pinaka-hindi siya agree, 1. Okay, so ang magiging forma ngayon ng mga items mo, ganyan na. So, all items will be answered that way. So, that's how you write items. Alright? Now, another important thing no, in writing items is we follow the 2 times rule. Ibig sabihin yan, dapat yung gagawin mong items in this phase must be twice as much or sa simpleng Tagalog, doble dapat ng target item mo sa final test that you're gonna make. For example, gusto mo yung final test mo, meron siyang 10 items. Yan yung final form. You would like to create a test with 10 items para hindi masyadong mahaba. Ngayon, in item writing, dodoblehin mo dapat yan. Dapat in this phase, hindi lang 10 yung gagawin mo, gagawin mong 20. Or mas maganda, triplehin mo. The rule is, the more, the merrier. The more, the better. Bakit? Anong logic? Bakit kinakailangan doble o triple yung items natin dito compared to your target items later? Because some of these items that you're gonna write, yung iba dyan, marireject. Yung iba dyan, buburahin mo. Bakit? Kasi pangit ang Cronbach's alpha. At malalaman natin yan later on when we undergo pilot testing. Okay, nagigets nyo? Kasi kung halimbawa ang target items nyo, 10, tapos gumawa kayo ng item dito, 10 lang din. Tapos nagpa-pilot test ka. Tapos nakita mo yung Cronbach's alpha, ang papangit, nag-delete ka ng mga items, edi wala na kaagad, hindi mo na kaagad na-meet yung 10 items mo. Kasi 10 lang yung ginawa mo eh. Eh sabi sa reliability analysis mo, dapat magtanggal ka ng 6 na items. O di wala na, 4 na lang yung matitirang items mo. You get the point. So you always double the number of items you're gonna write here in relation to the number of final items that you would like your test to have. Now, phase 3. Meron na tayong mga items. Marami na tayong mga nasulat na items. Doble ng target final items natin. Ang next na gagawin natin is pre-test validation. Maghahanap kayo ng 2 to 3 subject matter experts. Ibig sabihin, mga tao na magaling sa topic ng instrument mo, and then you will ask them to evaluate whether those items are acceptable, non-acceptable, or needs revision. Dito na kayo maghahanap ng mga teachers. Dito na kayo maghahanap ng mga researchers who can comment how good your written items are to be included in the final form of the test. No? If you still remember your lesson on validity, this is an expression of content validity. So, in phase 3, binavalidate na natin yung test. Remember, ang test dapat may reliability, dapat may validity. So, ito, ini-establish natin yung content validity. So, maghahanap kayo ng subject matter experts. Again, sinabi ko na dito, ilan ang hahanapin? 2 to 3. But the rule is, the more, the better. But since limited yung time natin, konti lang yung oras natin sa paggawa ng isang full-blown psychological test, i-allow ko na kayo ng kahit 2 lang. 2 subject matter experts lang, pwede na. Now, ang tanong, halimbawa lang 3 yung ginamit na subject matter experts. Tapos, in-evaluate nila yung mga items na ginawa mo. Whether the item must be accepted, rejected, or revised, paano tayo magdi-decide? From those 3 subject matter experts, meron yung formula. Ito yung formula ng content validity. Got this? So basically, ang ginagawa ng formula, kino-compute niya kung ano yung mga items na dapat i-reject, or dapat i-revise, or dapat i-retain, given the evaluation of the subject matter experts. Basically, ang idea dito is ilan nagsabi ng accept, ilan nagsabi ng reject. Kaya mag-a-apply talaga tong formula na to kapag marami kang subject matter experts na ginamit. Actually, yung mga hardcore psychological instruments that you see in journal articles, mga 5 at least yung mga subject matter experts nun. Kaya kinakailangan talagang gamitan ng ganyang formula. Pero kung 2 lang naman yung gagamitin, simple lang naman yan. Yung pwede mong standard dyan is kapag yung 2 nagsabi na accept yung item, automatic accept. Kapag 1 out of 2 yung nagsabi na accept yung item, pwede na rin. So, marireject lang yung item kapag pareho silang sinabi na itong item na to, pangit. 0 out of 2. Yon. So, hindi mo na masyadong kailangan pang gamitan ng formula na yan. Nag-a-apply lang to kapag marami kang subject matter experts na ginamit. Alright? Now, from number 3, let's move on to number 4. So, nakuha mo na yung mga items mo that were already evaluated by the validator. So sabihin ko lang din pala, no, sa phase 3, mababawasan na rin yung items mo dyan. Which is again, will reinforce yung sinabi ko kanina, kaya dapat marami kang items dito. Kasi content validity pa lang, meron na kaagad mawawala eh. Meron pang mawawala dyan after ng pilot testing 1. Kaya dapat talaga marami kang ide-develop na pool of items or pilot items. Alright? Now, anyway, going back, doon na tayo sa phase 4. Now, you are going to undergo pilot testing 1. Dito, kinakailangan mo nang i-administer yung items na nanggaling sa expert validation. Kanino mo i-administer yung mga items na yan? To the target population of your test. Kaya nga, going back in the previous phase na sinabi ko, kailangan alam mo yung intended test takers given the nature of your test. Asan yun? Yan. Dapat meron kang test taker profile because that will determine kung kanino mo ipapilot test yung current instrument mo. And the rule here is whoever your target test takers are, they must be representative. Dapat lahat ng variants of your target population were considered in pilot testing. So going back to my example, ano yung pangalan ng scale ko? Distance from God. Sino ang target population ko dito? People who are familiar with the biblical God and who have personal relationships with the biblical God. Got that? Yun yung target population ko. O ngayon, given that, kanino ko ngayon ipapilot test yung instrument na dinedevelop ko sa mga born-again Christian groups? Such as the following. Hindi ko lang nalagay lahat. Kasi marami pang iba na hindi nakasya sa slide. But you get the point. So I'm going to go to these churches and administer this instrument that I am developing. Or another possibility is, kaya ako may or dito, no? If you are creating an instrument exclusively for just one religious group, o ibig sabihin, isa lang yung pipiliin mo dyan. Halimbawa, yung distance from God scale na ginagawa natin, para lang yan sa mga taga-JIL, Jesus is Lord Church. So, tatanggalin ko lahat ng ibang mga born-again church, dito lang ako pupunta, sila lang yung a-administeran ko nung pilot test. Alright? Pero mas maganda kasi kung lahat represented. So, ganun na lang, no? At least for this example. Basta born-again Christian, pwedeng mag-pilot test nung dinedevelop nating instrument. But we have to make sure that we are able to get as much as possible different people who belong to different born-again Christian groups. Such as what you can see on the slide. Alright? Hindi pwedeng yung test mo, lahat ng born-again Christian group pwedeng kumuha, pero nung pinapilot test mo, isang born-again Christian group lang yung binigyan mo. Yun lang yung iniiwasan natin. Alright? Then we have phase 5. Now we enter item analysis. Now what do we have here? We already have the items after we pilot tested these items to the pilot population. So ang gagawin natin sa phase 5 is isa-set na natin yung psychometric properties. I-analyze na natin ano yung mga items na maganda, ano yung mga pangit. Ano yung mga items na dapat magstay, dapat i-delete, or dapat i-modify. At para magawa yan, ang gagawin natin sa test 5 or sa phase 5 I mean is, you are going to encode the responses of all participants in the pilot phase per item using statistical software. At alam nyo na to, no? If I'm not mistaken, na-experience nyo to sa psychological statistics. Talagang lahat ng instrument na pinamigay mo, kukunin mo ulit, and then i-encode mo ano ang sagot ng mga tao per item. So for example, in this slide, no, item number 1 coming from your pilot instrument. Anong sagot ni subject 1? Anong sagot ni subject 2? Anong sagot ni subject 3, ni subject 4, ni subject 5 for that item? In a scale of 1 to 5, e-encode mo yan. So kung meron kang 500 na binigyan ng pilot test, edi dapat 500 rows yan na lahat ililista mo kung anong sinagot nila per item. So this is a very strenuous activity to do. Nakakapagod naman talaga yan in fairness. At bakit natin ginagawa yan? Ito yung gagamitin natin to compute for the Cronbach's alpha of number 1, the entire test, and number 2, of the individual items. Hindi mo makukuha yung Cronbach's alpha kung hindi mo pagdaraanan yung proseso na yan. Fast forward, kapag na-encode mo na lahat ng responses per item of all the participants, yun. Doon ka na ngayon mag-item reliability analysis. As you can see here. Ang pinakamahalagang column dito to look at is Cronbach's alpha if item is deleted. So, hindi ko na ito masyadong uulitin ngayon kasi alam nyo na to sa psychological statistics. But basically, this column will tell you or will help you decide whether an item will stay or it will be deleted. Ang target goal nyo dito is ma-eliminate nyo yung mga items para yung overall instrument ma-achieve niya yung pinakamataas na Cronbach's alpha possible. Again, you just review your notes in psychological statistics. Basta yun yung goal. Dapat yung overall Cronbach's alpha of the test, yun na yung pinakamataas na kaya niyang abutin. At yun mangyayari kapag nag-delete ka ng mga items dito na pangit based on Cronbach's alpha analysis. And just to give you some idea, baka nalimutan nyo na, no? Ang Cronbach's alpha or ang bawat item may sari-sarili yung Cronbach's alpha other than the overall Cronbach's alpha of all the items. So yan yung gagamitin ninyo to decide whether again to sustain, to delete, or to modify certain items. Ito yung accepted range, no, in the field of psychometrics in connection to Cronbach's alpha. Yan. Ito yung mga magiging natin, standard. Kung yung items ba i-sustain mo, i-delete mo, or i-modify mo na lang. And again, this depends on your conservativeness. Kung gaano ka conservative. Kung medyo conservative ka, ang standard mo sa mga items mo, pwedeng mula dito pataas lang. Ayan. Ibig sabihin mula acceptable pababa, reject agad yung mga items. Pero kung medyo hindi ka naman conservative, maluwag-luwag ka, di pwedeng ibaba mo mula acceptable papuntang excellent, accepted yung mga items. Lower than acceptable range, delete the item. So, given this process, meron na naman mga items na malalagas. Which again, leads me to my 2 times rule. Kaya mahalaga na sa pilot item writing mo, marami kang items na isusulat. Para maabot mo yung target final items mo later on. Diba? Kasi wala, kung konti lang yung sinulat mong items, baka dito wala nang matira. Kasi marami nang naalis nung content validation sa subject matter experts. Tapos pati dito, marami pang nawala. Baka hindi mo abutin yung 10. Baka dito pa lang, 3 na lang yung items mo. Does that make sense? Yon. Now, very quickly lang, for objective tests, like for example, IQ test, iba yung analysis dyan. Alisin ko tong, yan. Iba yung analysis. Because remember, in my example, we are doing a personality test, distance from God. Pero kapag IQ test, other than Cronbach's alpha, hahanapan mo pa ng item difficulty index, pati rin ng item discrimination index. Which are all entirely different processes na wala na tayong enough time to discuss. Okay? Anyway, ang ginagawa nyo naman dito, personality test, not objective test. Kayo na lang siguro bahala magbasa nito if you want to do this in the future. Or if you take up your grad school in psychometrics, for sure, ituturo yan. Alright? Now, let's move on to the next phase. After we analyze our items, sinong maganda, sinong pangit, sinong dapat i-modify. Now we enter the second set of pilot testing. Yes, you heard it right. 2 beses kayo magpa-pilot test. And the rule here is, yung mga tao na ginamit nyo nung pilot testing 1 are no longer allowed. They are no longer allowed to participate in pilot testing 2. Kasi maaalala nila yung ibang mga items na binigay nyo na sa kanila noon. So there is a tendency that they will answer those items that they remember based on what they remember the first time they answer it. Not based on who they really are. Yun yung reason doon. Kaya dapat sa phase 6, yung testing population mo dito entirely different from the population you used in phase 4. Nagigets ninyo? So, ito yung visualization yan. Phase 6, yung 5 items na yan, for example, i-administer mo na naman yan sa new set of population. Now, for what purpose? Di ba in-administer mo na nga sa pilot testing 1? Bakit kinakailangan may pilot testing 2 pa? Kasi ang purpose naman ng pilot testing 2 is to establish the norm construction na ito of your psychological test. And if you remember in your psychological measurement 1, bakit mahalaga na ang isang psychological test merong norm? Because norm will help us interpret what is the meaning of the raw scores. Now that you have developed items that measure distance from God, ano ngayon ang ibig sabihin ng isang raw score from a person who will take my test on distance from God? Now, the norm can help me interpret what those raw scores will mean. Halimbawa, in the future, sumagot siya ng test ko. Ang final score niya is 0 to 13. Ano ang possible interpretation ko dyan? This person is very far from God. 14 to 19, far from God. 20 to 28, near to God. 29 to 63, very near to God. Got that? Paano ko nalaman? Paano ko na-i-interpret itong mga raw scores na to? Kasi nga, nag-norm construction ako. I'm going to run another lecture on norm construction para magets nyo how these things are derived. Marami kasing ways on how to construct norms. Pwedeng t-test, pwedeng t-score, pwedeng z-score, pwedeng percentile rank, pwedeng stay 9. I'm going to have a lecture on that para magamit nyo rin by the time that you are already in pilot testing 2. And last one, syempre, yung pinaka-last phase will be the manual construction. O, diba? Ito na yung last phase. Anong ginagawa sa manual construction? You're already familiar with this. Dito nyo ngayon gagawin yung test manual. So, meron na kayong items. May test items na. Isulat nyo na yung test manual. Anong laman ng test manual? Ito, yung mga details na yan. The background of the test, para kanino yung test, ano ang purpose, kung bakit kukunin yung test, ano yung review of literature mo about what your test measures, ano yung psychometric properties of your test, how reliable is your test, how valid is your test. Diyan mo na rin ipapakita yung norm. May page dyan, nandoon yung norm table. Yan yung gagamitin ng guidance counselor or anyone using the test to interpret the raw scores that they are getting. Kaya sabi ko, mahalaga na meron kayong norm table, no? And of course, number 7, the procedure, the step-by-step procedure on how you constructed the test. Actually, yung number 7, optional. Merong mga researchers or may mga test constructors, hindi na nilalagay yung number 7. Binibigyan na lang nila yung procedure if somebody wants to replicate what they did. No? So, yung number 7, optional, hanggang norm table lang, pwede na. Alright? After nyo ma-print yung manual, ay di yun na, kompleto na yung psychological test nyo. Now, you can release your test to the market, pwede nyo nang ibenta, or pwede nyo pang mas pagandahin yung psychometric property nung test nyo. So, establishan nyo ng iba pang mga forms of validity kasi maraming klaseng validity. So, pwede mong i-establish ng predictive validity. Pwede mong i-establish ng construct validity. Yon. Pero panibagong pilot test na naman yan. But at least, at this phase, no? Kapag nasulat mo na yung test manual, this is good to go. Now, you can administer your test to any people who have the need to take the test that you have constructed. Okay? So, yun ang pagdaraanan ninyo in test construction. Medyo madugo, medyo matrabaho, but it's all worth the effort. Kapag nakagawa kayo ng isang psychological test that can help many people in the field of psychology. Okay? So, if you have any questions, comments, or questions, comments, or some other details that you would like to ask about, ilagay nyo lang dyan sa comment section. Sasagutan natin yan if we have time. Sir Howard here. Sana marami kayong natutunan. God bless everyone. Bye-bye.